We are back with another edition of What's Next? Longevity Deal Talk. We have lots to fill you in on. We'll be chatting with Katie Schmitz, managing partner at the Ziegler Linkage Funds, and just ahead of the upcoming NIC Conference, the National Investment Center for Seniors Housing and Care Head of Research and Analytics, Lisa McCracken, will be joining us. You won't want to miss a minute. But first, this message. AMBA is a company focused on improving the efficiency and effectiveness of care for older adults, improving their lives and the lives of caregivers and family. How? Meet founder and CEO Stuart Hamilton.
Well, what we do is we place sensors in the homes of older adults, whether those homes are private homes or whether they are in independent living or assisted living. They're very discreet, almost invisible, and they passively gather useful information as the resident goes about their day. We're constantly measuring their heart rate, their breathing rate, looking for symptoms of sleep apnea. When they get out of bed, if it's in the middle of the night and the resident is quite vulnerable, we can alert a caregiver to come and provide them with assistance if necessary. In the daytime, we're measuring bathroom use, exercise, medication compliance, all kinds of information that we gather passively. The resident doesn't need to remember anything, press any buttons, or wear anything. What that lets us do is provide caregivers with exactly the information they need to deliver the right care intervention at the right time and improve the lives of older adults.
And Stuart, there are metrics that you use to measure just how effective all this is.
What we set out to do is to simultaneously improve the efficiency of care, so using your precious caregivers as efficiently as possible, and we also measured those outcomes. So it's not uncommon in our clients for us to see a reduction, for example, in nighttime falls of 60 or 70 or even 80% within a couple of months of deploying AMBA. We also see reductions in hospitalizations, we see improvements in medication compliance, simultaneously see improvements in both the efficiency and the effectiveness of care provision.
And there's a personal story as to how this came about?
That's right. So when my father got older, he moved to an independent living community very near to me, and I expected, as a technologist, to find some great technology that would help me and help his caregivers deliver just the care he needed, just when he needed it. But I was very surprised to find that the most popular technology used for supporting older adults was just a button that the resident is expected to press when they're in need of help. And what I set out to do is find a way to passively gather the information that our system needs to indicate that somebody is in need of assistance without them having to do anything at all.
Amazing. Where can people go for more information?
Well, you can either email me directly. I would love to hear from you. My email address is stu@amba.co. If you'd like to learn more and see some videos and more information, you can take a look at www.amberhealth.com.
I'm Fred Fishkin, along with Mary Furlong. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Fred. We really do have a great lineup on Longevity Deal Talk today. Let's first turn to Katie Schmitz from Ziegler. We're so glad you're with us, Katie, and you do amazing work.
Oh, thank you so much, Mary. I'm so excited to be here with you guys today.
Katie, there's a big deadline coming up for nominations for the 2025 John Hopper Impact Award. This is going to be presented at our conference in June, the Longevity Venture Summit. We want everyone to know about this award. First, let's chat about the John Hopper Award and its significance. And as a member of the committee and someone who knew John for 10 years, I'm so grateful for your leadership in helping bring this to life.
Thank you, Mary. John Hopper, as you all know, was a founding member of our Ziegler Linkage Fund family and was a personal mentor of mine. And I'm so grateful that we've been able to not only stand up, but sustain this award in his honor and memory. The innovations that he helped support and the companies that he financed have only increased awareness and interest in this age tech and longevity economy. And I'm so grateful to him for the work that he did in this space, and so happy that we're able to sponsor an award like this to kind of carry on his legacy.
Mary, last year it was announced at the Longevity Venture Summit that Jimmy Zolo co-founder and CEO of Joe and Bella, was the recipient. He is doing great work with his adaptive apparel.
He really is, and that was so exciting. So, Katie, let's tell everyone maybe an update about Joe and Bella, and then what we're looking for in the nominees this year and what they need to know about the deadline and the process.
Yeah, absolutely. Jimmy Zolo, one of the things a winner of this award wins is an opportunity to select from an advisor from our pool. And I had the pleasure of serving as Jimmy's advisor for the past year. And Joe and Bella is just doing wonderful things. They continue to really innovate around new apparel categories within adaptive clothing, which I just think is going to continue to be an area of interest as more and more older adults seek to retain their independence. And also remain stylish. In terms of the award this year, one thing I'm really excited about is we've started to focus more on a category. And this year's category is around cognitive, behavioral health, dementia care, all things relating to an area of importance for many investors, for CMS. I think it's a really timely focus for this year's award.
And the nomination process, tell us about that.
So folks can self-nominate, or they can nominate entrepreneurs that are innovating in and around this space, whether it's supporting individuals experiencing dementia or cognitive decline or their family members. All of those categories we're counting within this focus. In terms of the timeline, we're opening nominations now. Nomination timeline's open. It's actually right around John Hopper's birthday, which I think is fortuitous timing. We're accepting nominations through April 18th, and we will select an award winner by committee on April 30th.
Tell us more about how the winner gets selected here. Are there meetings or phone calls? How does this happen?
Yeah, so initially the applications will be reviewed. We'll narrow it down with our committee to 3 finalists, and then we'll have an interview with those finalists. And we're really looking for folks that have developed an innovative solution that has a measurable impact around this year's theme of improving the lives of older adults and their families experiencing cognitive decline. And then really looking for companies that are also viable and sustainable, in addition to being highly innovative. And we have the same committee that selects the finalists. We'll participate in those finalist interviews. We'll feature all finalists as part of the summit, and then we'll announce a winner live.
Just terrific. And where can people go to get the information and maybe start nominating?
Absolutely. So there is a link on Ziegler's website. If you follow Ziegler's website, or just look up Ziegler Linkage Longevity Funds or Ziegler Linkage Funds, you'll land on the page where you'll be able to link out to the John Hopper Innovation Award. Mary, I know you're also planning to include some information in all of your newsletters, and we will be doing the same through our social channels.
That's terrific. So important, the award, and also the fact that they get coaching from the Ziegler team.
Thank you, Mary, for that. I would say that it's not just the Ziegler team amongst our advisors pool. We're also going to be including some experts within this memory and dementia care space. We have some former entrepreneurs or current entrepreneurs that have been through it all before. And we also have executives from senior living and care provider organizations, all willing and excited to serve as a potential advisor.
Katie, thank you so much for the work you do, the leadership you provide, and the Ziegler Linkage team for the work they're doing. And thank you for joining us this morning.
Mary from Ziegler in Chicago, on to the NIC Spring Conference, which gets underway in San Diego on Wednesday and continues through Friday. Lisa McCracken, who oversees the research and analytics team at the National Investment Center for Seniors Housing and Care, is with us. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, thanks for having me. Glad to be on with you.
Lisa, we followed you for a while, and you are really one of the top analysts, and we are delighted you're going to be joining us in the midst of your busy pre-conference schedule. Before we dive into the conference, let's talk a little bit about NIC and its mission.
Yeah, no, I'd be glad to do that. And some people call us NIC, some people call us NIC, but Fred, you had it right in the intro. We're the National Investment Center for Seniors Housing and Care. And we are not-for-profit, 501c3 organization. And we're all about providing access and choice to older adults. And we do that through data, research, analytics, our convening ability. And as we've noted, next week is our spring conference, and we really bring together both operators, capital partners who help fuel the growth in our sector, and all of the variety of different partners that service into the aging services and senior living space. So founded in 1991 by the very well-known Bob Kramer. Many in the industry know him. So that's a little bit of our background.
And you have record numbers. So I'm excited to be attending the conference next week. And it's one of two you have every year. So tell us about the focus.
Yeah, so we have the two big ones that we have each year are our fall conference and our spring conference. And our spring, as you noted, we've got record registration numbers, and we always get a number of folks that come on site and register too. So we're really excited to have a little over 2,000 people at the spring conference. At the fall, it's a little bigger. We have around 3,000 at that, but they're both substantial events. And our spring conference has a little bit more of an orientation to a lot of the sort of, I would say, healthcare, wellness, creative strategic partnerships around sort of where is the puck going in our industry around longevity and things of that nature. So there's always the core conversations that NIC supports around capital formation, behind all of those things. So you see that peppered into the agenda for sure. And but there's that element, like I said, of that healthcare, focus on wellness, prevention, upstream types of things. And we weave that into our conversations around the middle market, around, what is the future of independent living, around value-based care arrangements. We actually have a pretty heavy integration of the value-based care conversations, everything from data to, what are creative partnerships with payers. So that's a little bit of the flavor of the conference. And we've got the education, and there's always a lot of meetings and networking that happens at the NIC events too.
That's always a big part. Maybe we should highlight some of the sessions taking place, which are really designed to give attendees, as you were pointing out, a lot of information and a lot of tools.
Right. So I'll touch on a couple. So we have these, obviously it's like picking among your favorite, all your children. So they're all wonderful. But we do have some that we call NIC premier sessions, NIC sponsored sessions, and so forth. So we are kicking off our conference with a NIC sponsored session around really the outlook, the growth, the interest in our sector moving forward. So the really exciting thing is we've got some pretty pronounced tailwinds, and really, new people looking into senior living that have not before. So as we say, sometimes we're on the main stage now, where in the past, maybe we're in this little bit of a sidebar. So we're going to be talking about, what the growth of the demographics look like, what type of capital investments are needed to really align with that demand. So then we're going to kick off the conference with a panel of experts and really smart folks. We're also excited to dive into a little bit about what's the new administration mean for our sector. So that's obviously a big question, and it changes day to day. So that's going to be a dynamic conversation. We've got Dr. Scott Gottlieb, who's very well known in the space, and he's the former commissioner of the FDA and former advisor to CMS. We have Andy Slavitt, who is the former acting administrator for CMS. Our moderators, Nirav Shah from Stanford and Tomlinson from ATI Advisory. So yeah, that's going to be a not to miss session as well. And as I said, a number of value-based care sessions, and we've got health plans up there talking about, hey, what are partnership opportunities that exist? And again, what the future potential looks like there. So for those that like to sit in sessions, and we've got the main stage sessions, but we also have these innovation labs, which are smaller, more intimate group discussions. And so we have a little bit for everyone. And if you're a first timer, we know going into a conference with 2,000 people can be overwhelming, but we have some first timer events as well to help people navigate that. So so some great conferences, great content, and all to the credit, we've got a committee that helps us pull that together, and we brainstorm months in advance. So we're really excited with the robust content this year.
Very high quality, and a lot of those topics I know are market leading. So let's talk about the capital markets environment and how that's affecting senior living communities. And how you bring all that group together, because they do appreciate the data and the insights. And I know we featured you at many of our conferences, and
Right.
love the way you are able to storytell around the data.
Yeah. Well, the thing with that, Mary, is, so we, if we need to and want to attract capital to fund our growth in the sector, we need transparency with data and information. So I know, in my role, I've always taken that seriously, and NIC, that's at the core of what we do. So, and the capital partners deserve that, because we always say, somebody new coming into the space and not having a good experience because they don't fully have all the information, and exiting a couple years later is not good for anyone. So yeah, so we have candid conversations from a variety of different perspectives on the capital front. So we've got debt lenders, we've got banks, we've got the head of research for the Mortgage Bankers Association. We have large institutional investors. In the opening session, we got the head of research for Harrison Street, which is a very known group that's been in the industry for a long period of time. But the exciting thing is, too, we've got a lot of new capital folks, Mary, that are coming to this conference for the first time. And these are sort of, it's maybe a different kind of capital. We're seeing the emergence of pension fund investors, family offices, which are high net worth individuals, life insurance companies coming in and saying we're allocating more dollars to seniors because we see the opportunity here and the need. So, so the capital environment's interesting. It's there's a lot of capital there. The debt markets are still a little wonky. The banks are at the table, and I would say they would all agree that 2025 is going to be a good year. But so there's a lot of capital looking at our space. I will tell you the one area where we're still a little stymied, and it's not just the capital and the interest rates. They're not as low as they were obviously a decade ago. But the construction environment, so we're still a little hamstrung when it comes to new development activity. But as we know, we need to fund, acquisition opportunities and the complexity of the operations. I know you're heavy in the technology front and these data platforms, and we need the dollars to invest in those. So it's, even investing in operating companies and platforms. So I think we're exploring all those forms of capital. So we've got 3 sessions, if I'm counting correctly, that will be covering different aspects of the capital markets. And I'm sure it'll weave its way into more than that too.
And of course, we're keeping an eye on the government changes by the day. So I think it's great you have that session. It sounds very, very strong. So that I think this is all related to another focus, and that is affordability when it comes to middle income older adults, and then what's going to happen with skilled nursing in the future.
Yeah. Well, let's touch the affordability one first. So, NIC has been very involved and committed to research and information and, identifying best practices and things around that middle income seniors. Often we call it the middle market. So again, it's the people that don't qualify for the Medicaid, the government subsidized maybe HUD housing, but really aren't at the other end of the spectrum where they can't afford the private pay options. And really, outside of skilled nursing and the exception of some assisted living Medicaid waiver programs, we're a very heavy private pay, option for seniors. So, and so here's the good news on that front. So there's been great wealth accumulated among the baby boomer population. So there are a significant number of older adults that can and will be able to afford private pay options. But when you go down the income spectrum, I would say we hit the middle or the high middle income folks a little bit, and we know some of them are living in communities and so forth. But once you get into that middle, low middle, the near duals, the options are just more limited. So, we initially phrased the term the forgotten middle. I think so much of the focus is on the bookends. So we have, it's a part of the NIC strategic plan. One of the pillars is the middle market. And we've got a whole committee that's focused on identifying solutions around that. So, we've got concerns about affordability. We know that there's, again, people that can afford the current stock of options that are out there. But we also need to really, really figure out some solutions. And there's, we've made progress. I would probably say our progress has been more incremental, Mary, than really significant scale. That's where we got to really figure out some true formulas. But at the end of the day, I mentioned earlier about the difficulty with development activity, even for that private pay seniors housing, projects aren't penciling out right now. So now you go down and say, okay, well, how do we make it even, less costly? How can we build this at a price point that somebody in a middle income cohort can afford? And so there's some barriers. The independent living part's the easy one. So at a conference, we've got the session on providing care to the middle market, because as soon as you start to need care, it gets really expensive and really difficult. So there's some groups doing some creative things out there. So we're going to continue to plug away at that. Ultimately, are we going to need some form of private public partnership? Many feel like it's going to take that till we get to some real scale, but we'll see. We're going to continue to address it. I will tell you, there's not a lack of passion. Had many people say, hey, if it were easy, we would have done it by now, because we'd really, really like to build and develop more of these. But you're going to continue to see that out of NIC for, the foreseeable future, for sure.
Well, amazing leadership. Congratulations to you and to Bob and all the team. I look forward to being part of the Age Tech Insights group there. So it's very exciting. It's electric with the number of, this is a very exciting market where people are coming into the market from all sorts of different places, and you're front and center as the analyst. So thank you for joining us. It's going to be a great gathering, very meaningful, very future oriented, and thank you for sharing with us.
Well, thanks for having me, and we're excited to see everyone in San Diego. Everyone loves San Diego, so
yes, that's true.
See everybody soon. Thank you.
The website is springconference.nic.org. Thank you again, Lisa, and of course, Katie Schmitz from Ziegler. We want to remind you that the registration is now open as well for the Longevity Venture Summit coming up June 9th through 11th. Learn more at boomerventuresummit.com. Thanks as well to our sponsor, AMBA, providing technology to enable responsive, personalized, and effective care. Discover how AMBA can benefit your facility, your residents, your families, and caregivers. Find more at ambahealth.com. We thank you for taking the time to watch or listen. Remember, you can always find us at maryfurlong.com/podcasts.